What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Rock Video Rental. I am Brandon, and with me, as always, is Caleb. Caleb, how have things been going?
Things have been going all right. Here we are the week after Thanksgiving. It was a very strange one this year, but there is one huge thing to be thankful for. And that is that by a Thanksgiving, not Thanksgiving Day, but Thanksgiving holiday miracle, I found a PlayStation 5. So nothing could put me in a absolutely terrible mood because that happened. So it's been pretty good recently. But the sad thing is, there is a sad part to the story, is that my kids have played on it more than I have.
Oh, you gotta kind of figure that, right?
Yeah, it was like a double win because my PlayStation 4 like officially died just not too long ago. So there was like no Minecraft, no like any other PlayStation games that we had for
Mm-hmm.
several weeks because it died. So it came along at a good time. So I lucked out for sure.
Rock. So, I'm assuming since you got that, you've probably been playing more stuff than you've been watching.
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple things. Actually, there's one thing that I'm pretty sure I forgot to mention several weeks ago. Maybe it was in my long spiel after we did that last series that we did that I included in, but I don't know. Did I mention that I watched Raw Deal
I
with
don't think
Arnold
so.
Schwarzenegger? Yeah, I was looking at things and then I saw that I was like, I don't remember talking about that. But yeah, so that's a little bit of an old one, and I had actually not seen that movie all the way through, and it's a little bit funny because I almost feel like there are similarities between Raw Deal and the movie we're going to be reviewing today.
I was gonna say Raw Deal is kind of boring, if I
Yeah.
remember right. I have it on DVD, and I don't think I've ever watched it all the way through.
Yeah, it was definitely a two-nighter. Like I got so far and I was like, okay, I'm going to bed. um but there were some funny things and it was just I think I'll save it for a little bit later when we're talking about doing our movie review. But yeah, there were some things I thought were a little similar. So I watched that a while ago, and then the new things though that I've watched in the past week. I've been, my wife and I have been still going with How I Met Your Mother. Also, I've been watching a little bit of Family Matters still with her. Um, but the main one that I watched a handful of episodes for is the reboot of Animaniacs.
Oh yeah, I saw that launched.
Yeah, I
How's
know.
that? Is it like the old one?
Oh yeah, dude, it's exactly like you would expect. I mean, everything the same, the jokes and the jabs at current events and things like that, and same feeling. There was one weird thing that I felt like I picked up on, and it's the voices. They still
Yeah.
sound the same, but when they sing, I swear like they have the different voices for when they talk, but when any three of them sing, it's the same voice. So there's no distinction between them when they
Hmm.
sing, in my opinion. But I mean, maybe it was just one song that stuck out to me. So, but other than that, it's pretty good. I mean, of course, there's certain things you can fully expect them to make fun of, and they went right at it from the get go. So, and then Pinky and the Brain. So they do the Animaniacs, the Warner Brothers, and the Pinky and the Brain back and forth, and they've the couple that I've seen so far were pretty good. They were definitely entertaining.
Nice.
Uh,
Did they have Rita and Runt on there still?
um,
You know what I'm
would
talking about?
no,
Like the gray cat and the big dopey looking dog.
no, I have not seen them. They had the same security guard for Animaniacs though,
Okay.
or I mean,
Yeah,
unless I'm
'cause
them off.
you know how they always have like a Pinky and the Brain like short in there. They would have a Rita and Runt one a lot. Uh, there was Chicken Boo was another one, and
Oh,
Good Feathers.
Yeah, I thought that's what you might be talking about. Yeah, so far it's only been the Animaniac Warner Brothers segments and the Pinky and the Brain. So I'm not sure if others get interjected in later episodes or maybe that's something they're going to do in the future.
Rock.
So, but yeah, that's basically been it. I mean, I've also been doing my gaming then. Actually, ironically, more PC gaming still at this point because I'm waiting for next week. Depending when we record, I might have something to say about it. But Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out, which is the Keanu Reeves game.
Yeah.
And I bought that. It's technically a PS4 game, but they're going to optimize it for the PS5. So I bought that. But
Nice.
I've still been playing Middle Earth Shadow of War, which is an excellent game. I think I've talked about it before, so I won't
Hmm.
drag it out again. So, but what about yourself? What's the entertainment on your list?
Well, I've been continuing on with The Sopranos. I am in the last season now. Man, the last season's been kind of a drag. Been a little slow.
I thought I heard that people were really disappointed in the last season. Do you know? I This is the only thing I know because I've actually never seen a full episode. Do you know how it ends? Do you remember what
Yeah,
people? Okay.
yeah, I remember when it happened, so I just been kind of like patiently waiting for that. Um, man, other than that, we've been watching, or I've been watching a little bit of Coach, the Craig T. Nelson show from the late '80s, early '90s. um, yeah, I just saw it was on IMDb and IMDb TV. I don't know
Oh
if
yeah.
you've seen that before on Amazon Prime.
Mm,
Basically, you can watch stuff and it's just got commercials. It's free.
nice.
That was after I watched the early '90s football movie, The Program, with Omar Epps
Rock.
and James Caan.
Hmm.
I watched a little bit of that today. Kind of nodded off during it. I wasn't feeling very good, so I kind of just like chilled for a little bit. Um, we've been also watching Sugar Rush and Nailed It on Netflix. It just added Christmas episodes. Oh man, I told my wife like, because you know my disdain for Nicole Byers.
Yes, I do know that.
Like that show would be so much better without her. She is so incredibly obnoxious. Like I wish it would take the host, the dude from Sugar Rush, and put him on Nailed It, and
Yeah.
that show would be like 1,000 times better.
Hmm.
I was happy to see that Paul Shear was a contestant on Nailed It. You know who Paul Shear is?
I know I should know, but
He was Andre in the league, and he's got a
oh
couple podcasts. He does How Did This Get Made and Unspooled.
wait, he was a contestant or
Yeah,
judge?
he was a contestant on it.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, he's the bald guy with like the gap in his teeth.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yep. He's been on a lot of different things. Um, yeah, they had like a special one where they were doing it was like a Hanukkah episode where they had to make a bunch of stuff. He actually, spoiler alert, he won the whole thing. And then
You
what was
ruined it for
cool
me.
though was at the end of it, just he didn't take the prize money. He just wanted the trophy, so he just split up the money between the other two contestants.
Oh, dude, I heard about that. My wife watches that show and she's like, "Oh, it was so cool. This guy won and he just gave it away." And I was like, "Oh, well, he must be well off." So I had no idea that's who she was talking about.
Yeah, well, both him and his wife are actors, and they
Okay.
both have podcasts. His wife is June Diane Raphael.
Okay.
She's got a lot of different podcasts. She did one with Quentin Tarantino about movies.
Oh my gosh, dude, you know how crazy that would be to
Yeah,
talk to him about movies?
yeah, she did that, and then she did one all about the Halloween series that was
Nice.
really good. Um, yeah, so other than those, I've been watching this series called Disappeared on Investigation Discovery, and it's just like people that have up and disappeared, and um, trying to hunt them down, and some of them they find, other ones they don't.
Hmm.
So, and then other ones like they find them dead. It's kind of interesting, like the process that they go through and all that. I mean, all those investigation discovery shows are kind of the same.
Yeah.
But the last thing of note that we watched was Christmas Vacation, which
Awesome.
is a
Excellent.
classic. So, yeah, we've been getting into more Christmas shows and things like that. So it's been fun. Um, I guess the last thing I watched is our main topic for the week, and yeah, definitely not a Christmas movie. But you want to jump right into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
Hey everyone, this is Kale with Rock Video Rental, and we just want to tell you a little bit more about hosting a podcast on Anchor. It works great for us. We actually have 2 podcasts on this platform. It's free and easy to use. Anchor helps distribute your podcast for you on other popular platforms. Their creation tools are easy to use, and you don't need a fancy computer. You can do it from your phone. And an added bonus too, it's easy to make money. Even if you have a small listenership or a big one, there's a way that you can still make money from it. So learn more and check it out by downloading the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm today to get started.
New York, a city pushed to the edge. People pushed to the limit, and no one's got the guts to stop them.
It's collection time, Charlie.
3 murders, 4 rapes, 9 acts of random violence. This isn't a neighborhood, it's a war.
But there is one way. One man who won't be pushed. Charles Bronson.
What's the problem? Now you're gonna die.
It'll be just like before, Mr. Vigilante, with one important difference. You're gonna work for me.
People have got to start to fight back and hard.
I sent them a message.
That's him.
I'll take care of it.
And now, he's in the middle of a war.
See what you done? You got me mad.
In a world gone mad, there is only one law. His. Charles Bronson, Death Wish 3. Bronson's back in New York, bringing justice to the streets. Charles Bronson, Death Wish 3.
So the movie of the week is the 1985 action movie Death Wish 3. It is directed by Michael Winner. The plot is architect/vigilante Paul Kersey arrives back in New York City and is forcibly recruited by a crooked police chief to fight street crime caused by a large gang terrorizing the neighborhoods. The cast is Charles Bronson returns as Paul Kersey. Deborah Raffin is Catherine. Ed Lauder is the police chief, Richard Stryker. Martin Balsam is Bennett. And Gavin O'Herlihy is Fraker. This is a movie that I've seen quite a few times. This is one of my dad's favorite movie series.
Nice.
So, and like, we both agree that the third one is our favorite. A lot of people that have seen this series like say that the third one's the best just because it's so ridiculously 80s. I mean, another canon film production that we've done on this show.
Dude, I think you're just like obsessed with canon.
Dude, I love canon movies because they're always entertaining, even if they're bad.
True.
Always entertaining. Yeah, I mean, this one is like canon in a nutshell. It's they took like a famous actor in Charles Bronson. At the time, like, he was very recognizable. Everybody knew who he was. They took a beloved series of movies and Death Wish and like just exploited the hell out of it. Let's put more violence, more explosions and action and everything into it, and it's just ridiculous, I guess.
Well, yeah. One thing I want to mention here at the beginning of this is that I anticipate I might trip over myself a little bit because I actually considered watching if I had more time, I probably would have watched this twice.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it was a little difficult to keep strained out, I guess I would say. Just because so much was happening, and it would all of a sudden jump from one thing to another and kind of scattered. And so I just felt like when it was done that I was entertained. I had a good time, but I was a little bit lost too, where I'm just like, man, I feel like I'm going to miss some things, or it's a trickier review, in my opinion, just because I don't know. Do you feel that way? That was a little scattered
Yeah,
and kind of all
it's
over
a
the
very
place.
scattered, unfocused movie.
Yeah.
I mean, all the Death Wish movies are pretty much the same. So like the first one is, you know, Charles Bronson. He's just an architect, and his wife gets like raped and murdered by this um, gang of guys, and then he ends up like getting turning into a vigilante and hunting down the guys that were responsible for it. And in the first movie, he's kind of like reluctantly doing it. It's because like the police really couldn't help. They weren't getting any results, and he felt he needed justice. And then at the same time, like he's very nervous about what he's doing,
Mm-hmm.
and it really affects him killing these guys that did this. And then the second movie comes around, and it's kind of the same thing. Like his daughter has the same thing happen to her, and then hunts those people down. But by the time the third one comes around, he's just like protecting a neighborhood, and he has absolutely no problem shooting people with a wide variety of weaponry. Like, and then it gets out into like an all-out war at the end of it. So it's kind of funny to see the progression of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one it's actually a very good movie. It's done very well. Uh, I believe the first three were all directed by Michael Winner.
Okay.
But by the time the third one rolled around, it became just a parody of itself, and Canon Films, they got their hands on it, and things just got ridiculous. Death Wish 4 was also a Canon movie. I guess we could start from the beginning. It's the first one, Bronson, he's in New York. The second one, he's in Los Angeles. The third one, he's in New York. The fourth one, he's in Los Angeles. He just kind of goes back and forth. But he returns to New York this time, and like I said in the plot, that police chief gets a hold of him, talks about all the gang issues, and he basically just kind of blackmails him into like helping him out and just doing like street vengeance on these gangs or on this big gang. So he goes and he lives in like a friend of his apartment, and his friend was actually killed by this gang, and he makes friends with people in the building. And there's an older Jewish couple he makes friends with, and then there's a guy named Bennett who was a friend of Bronson's friend, and they kind of just like team up and devise a plan of what they're gonna do. And it's funny because Paul Kersey, like I said in the first Death Wish, was just he was just an architect who had turned into a vigilante to like seek vengeance on um these hoods that raped and murdered his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden he's like Rambo in this one. He's setting like all these traps up. He's got like uh he's got that board on a big spring that's set up.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone breaks in and tricks the window, it flies up and hits the guy in the face. And that's one of my favorite scenes, where you hear the trap go off and they're eating dinner and they all run to the where the trap is at, and Bronson checks the board and he looks at it and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what is that?" And it's like, "Oh, those are teeth." And the guy's like, front teeth are stuck in the board. He sets another trap too, with right under his window of a piece of plywood with a whole bunch of nails in it.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Person comes through the window, they jump on the nails. And at the same time, there's we get to see some of the gang members, and there's a few that stand out. You get Fraker, who Paul Kersey, Bronson's character, meets when he's in jail, and he's like the leader of the gang. So he has like all these guys working under him. He sends them out to just like do mayhem, steal things, uh, just push the people around in the neighborhood and get what they want. Another one that stands out is this guy they call the Giggler, who he is like he's basically a pickpocket, but like once he gets the stuff, he's laughing when he runs off, and he's so fast that nobody can catch him.
Mhm.
And then we get the classic, Paul Kersey saying, "I have a friend named Wieldy. When he comes, he'll help out. He'll be able to catch the Giggler." And they're like, "Is he really that fast?" And he's like, "He'll have no problem with him." This is where we get kind of like the funniest aspect of the movie is Kersey goes to the post office and he gets a P.O. box. You kind of wonder why he's doing that at the beginning, but then we find out later that he's actually ordering uh, firearms and ammo through the mail.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
He gets everything from pistols and bullets, and then he gets an RPG, anti anti personnel rocket powered grenade launcher. I mean, talk about overkill, and we'll get to that part later on. But another gang member that sticks out just from the last movie that we reviewed is Alex Winter, aka Bill S. Preston Esquire, is in this movie.
Yes, not his most triumphant role, but
Not at all. He really doesn't say much in it, and yeah, I got kind of some funny things about that when we get the trivia. But uh, so these gang members are just like hassling everybody, especially in the building that Kersey's living in. Stealing all their stuff, beating them up. A few people have like been killed by these gang members, so now it's up to Paul Kersey to bring him to justice. Uh, so we finally get to meet his friend Wieldy that he's speaking of, which is an enormous hand cannon. They call it a hand cannon
yeah.
called the Wieldy Magnum, which is a 475 caliber, and this is what he uses to quote unquote catch the giggler. He kind of sets up like a trap for him where he grabs like a nice camera and like slings it over his shoulder and walks by. He said he's going to the corner to get some ice cream. And it makes it obvious that he's got this camera, and like the giggler can't help himself, so he runs and gets it. And that's when Bronson pulls out this gun and just like blows him away. Blows like a baseball size hole into the guy's back. And he says too to the people who ask him about the gun that it uses. What was he said it uses ammo similar to that of a 50 caliber
hmm
uh, that they use for African big game hunting. Like, talk about overkill. This gun is probably like 10 inches to a foot long, and it's a pistol.
hmm
Oh, it's just hilarious. Which is the gun that can be seen on the poster for this movie, which is an awesome poster,
Yeah, I
which
was just gonna
actually I'm
mention
hanging up
that.
in my garage. It's
Nice.
a it was a high quality JPEG that Craig and I found online, and I printed it out on just like 11 by 17 cardstock, and I realized after I printed it that the picture that was online actually had Charles Bronson's autograph on it.
Nice.
Yeah, so now it looks like mine is autographed. But yeah, and I mean all this stuff happening, they try to like strike back. The gang tries to strike back, and they ramp up their violence. They bring in more gang members. And of course, at the same time, Kersey like ends up meeting a woman who becomes like his love interest, and they hang out a lot, and they have dinner together, have conversations, go do stuff together, and In typical Death Wish fashion, if you become a love interest or someone close to Paul Kersey personally, something terrible is going to happen to you. Like either you're going to be killed or you're going to be raped or both. And yeah, she gets killed in an explosion of a car.
By getting pushed down the hill.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure that car wouldn't explode. Basically, all this piles up until this the gang in the neighborhood calls like another gang to join them, causing like this big war at the end. And all the normal people in the neighborhood basically gang up together to help Paul Kersey and Paul Kersey's neighbor to take out these gang members. And it's that final battle or war. I guess it's really more of like a war.
Oh yeah.
It's like almost a half hour long. There's crazy explosions. Lots of gunfire, lots of stunts. There's some funny ones where like somebody gets shot and then they go over like a railing and they use their hand to brace themselves on the railing before they flip over. That always cracks me up. Like this guy's dead and he falls over, but he's got enough ability to stick his hand out, so make sure he flips safely onto his back.
Hey, you gotta die safely, right?
Right. Yeah, so probably lots of stunt work in this movie, I would guess. Uh, oh gosh, man, I almost forgot to mention that Kersey's friend Bennett has a minigun.
Didn't he have two?
I'm not sure if he had two or if he just had the one, but he tried to use the one and it like jammed up, and that's when he met, his end. Uh, and somehow Paul Kersey either got it or he got another one, and he
Mhm.
was able to like mow people down. Like it's basically like the gun Jesse Ventura had in Predator. just a Gatling gun, just completely like laying waste to people. And all this is happening like in the streets of New York.
Yeah. And now one thing too that I wanted to mention about that minigun though is that I am not a gun expert, but isn't that the type of gun that's supposed to be mounted?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's possible, but anytime I've seen them in movies, they're not mounted to anything because I'm not a gun person either.
Okay, because if I'm not mistaken, that gun he was holding onto the barrel of the gun, which a machine gun barrel is going to get hot.
Yeah.
And he was just like holding on to it, and I was like, I don't know if that's right.
Like what it made me think of was Grand Theft Auto Vice City, because
Yeah.
you can get the minigun in that, and that's kind of really similar to it. And I know the character in that, there's like two handles on the gun.
Yeah.
And like same with Jesse Ventura's gun in Predator. And neither one of those were mounted either, so I'm not quite sure. Basically, it's like a big chain gun that you would see on like an attack helicopter, like in a Vietnam movie, where it's just raining bullets.
Yeah. Which is mounted usually, but anyways.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the gist of the movie. It all builds up to this huge battle at the end, and all the carnage and stuff that happens with it. And I guess, towards the end of this big battle, I guess, well, the thing that ends it. So, I mentioned the RPG earlier. There's a scene where Paul Kersey goes to his apartment and he runs up to go get more ammo and he's loading a pistol. And that's when Fraker finds him and he corners him and, fires at Kersey. Um, or he's getting ready to like shoot Kersey, and then the police chief comes out of nowhere and shoots him.
Mhm.
And they're kind of he falls down. I think he's dead, and Kersey and the chief are talking to each other. And Fraker jumps up and he's got a pistol, and the chief's like, "You can't shoot both of us." And that's when he like Fraker shoots the police chief, and then Kersey dives, grabs the RPG, and just shoots the guy in the chest with a rocket launcher. It blows out the whole side of the apartment building, and like the only thing that's left of Fraker is just like it looks like just a pile of clothes. It's on fire on the street.
Yeah, and there's like no way anybody would be able to tell that was specifically him.
No, there would just be like pieces of burning flesh everywhere if he got shot with a rocket that close. Plus, I'm pretty sure that Paul Kersey would be dead and the police chief would be dead.
Yeah.
Getting shot, like shooting that close, because it was like he was like 6 to 8 feet away from the guy when he shot him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then like all the other gang members see it, and then they just kind of like give up and leave. Oh man, yeah. I mean, awesomely bad. This is a movie that's just entertaining. I put on like when I want to watch something just stupid action with a lot of
Mm-hmm.
explosions and just craziness happening. Uh, and a few weeks ago when you said, we haven't done an awesomely bad movie in a long time, this is like the first one that popped in my head. And it was on Amazon Prime for free, so it definitely had to be one of them. I think it's also on Tubi.
Nice.
Yeah, were there things that stuck out in the movie for you? Because I can give a few of mine after.
Yeah, it was a lot. Like I said, it was definitely entertaining. So one thing while you were going through that I wanted to double check on, because I thought that there was something else with it and I forgot to check it ahead of time. But it's funny because that there is actually a direct correlation between Raw Deal and Death Wish 3. And that is the actor Ed Lauder,
Mm-hmm.
who was the dirty cop or whatever, kind of how you said, the
Yeah.
corrupted guy. He was also a policeman in Raw Deal.
Yeah, I feel like he always plays a policeman, and he's always good.
Yeah, he does always do a good job. But that is pretty funny that they were both in, or that he was in both of those. But yeah, for sure, this is like over the top, so 80s. So much going on.
It's funny you say over the top because the movie Over the Top was also made by Canon. But continue.
Yeah. It's funny because anytime I say over the top, I always think like in reference to anything, I always think of that movie anyways. But yeah, it went really fast at times, and then other times it went really slow. And some of it was some of the acting was a little ridiculous, like when Bronson's friend died at the beginning and he he was dying. That performance was a little entertaining.
Yeah.
And then they threw some things like really quick at you to try to develop things, but they didn't really take the time to develop it. Like Fraker, like you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They were after Bronson got picked up because he was accused of killing his friend, because he was there when the police showed up and everything. That's where the two met, was in the holding cell.
Yeah.
Like it's super fast, like boom, boom, boom. Like all these things happen. And I mean, like, I get it. Like, I enjoy it, but it's just funny how you start to notice those things when you go from, like, we've been on that long streak of, really good movies for the most part. And then you go to this where it's not as well developed and structured.
Yeah.
Where you get that buildup and everything. And so it was kind of funny. Like, I think too, I can't remember her name, but his love interest and everything.
Catherine.
Yeah, she got thrown in there, and it was kind of a little bit random, and then she hunted him down. Like, there was no reason for her to be interested in following him the way that she did. I mean, no offense to Bronson, but the age difference, and there was nothing that was exactly, you know, from their interactions that would be like, oh, she's gonna fall for this guy. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
I anticipated that, but they didn't really put it out there for that to develop. It was just kind of like, oh, these two cross paths, so now we're gonna have them, in a relationship. So
Yeah, that always cracked me up too. Like, she is at least 20 years younger than he is.
mhm.
It's just hilarious. Yeah, and there's really nothing in their interactions that they have that you would think that she's going to return and be a love interest.
Yeah, like, absolutely. So it was just very, very interesting how they did that. But then the gang interactions were always entertaining, and um, it's one of those where you feel like in some cases, like, they just shot things once and then they pieced it together after.
Most likely. Um, Man, I'm gonna have to see if I can find that Canon Films documentary online and send you a link because it was really funny and it's kind of interesting how they did things.
Hmm.
It kind of impressive how they took like simple ideas and made them profitable.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, coming into it, like I knew it was going to be a big like drop off from films that we watched like right before this, especially like acting wise. Um, Charles Bronson's always pretty solid. He's got kind of like his own style, I guess, or had his own style, where it's not like the greatest actor ever, but he's believable, I guess. And you could tell that like he gives effort to every single role that he has.
Hmm.
And he's more of like the strong silent type than he is like a you know going on in the monologues and things like that or having like super solid dialogue or anything like that. He's more of just like a presence, I guess, than he
Yeah.
is like a quipster or anything like that, like Arnold is more likely.
Hmm.
um yeah, so kind of like a different action hero.
Yeah.
And 70s and 80s is when his career really kind of took off for this type of movie, I guess, because he had two more Death Wish movies after this one, and then he had movies like 10 to Midnight, which is a slasher movie.
Okay.
It's like a detective slash slasher movie, which I still have yet to watch. I think that one's also on Amazon Prime, so I might have to get around to watching that one soon. Uh, and then I read somewhere too that he did like 8 to 10 movies that had the word death in the title. He's got the 5 Death Wish movies, and there was like 3 other ones that are unrelated that all are kind of similar. So I guess he got kind of pigeonholed.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and you mentioned Ed Lauder. He, like I said, he always does a good job in everything he's in. He's always a jerk, and he was just great at playing that jerk character.
Yeah. Whether he's technically a good guy or not.
Yeah, and I wonder if he's. No, he passed away a few years ago. I was just wondering if he was still alive. He passed away. It looks like 7 years ago. I looked up. Um, yeah, yeah, always a cop.
Hmm.
God, there's someone else I feel like is the same way. I can't I was originally thinking of it, and now lost it. Who's um, always a cop in everything they're in.
Well, one thing that I'll mention too while you're thinking about that is we mentioned this, man, I can't remember exactly when. I think it was maybe during the F-13 series, Friday the 13th series that we did, where we commented on the acting that sometimes, and I'm not knocking it because I'm not an actor. I do not possess that ability. I know that some people are really great at it, and some others you can kind of see are rough around the edges in their performance. But in some cases, when they don't have it all together, they seem to go overboard or outside of the range that they should. Like I'm gonna say it again, over the top. Like they go over the top with it.
Oh yeah, they overact.
Yeah, and so I felt like most, if not all, the gang members did that, where they just went like took it from a 10 to an 11. And because the giggler was kind of like that, and then there was another guy, and it was just like screaming and hollering the whole time to be intense and intimidating. And I was just like, okay, I get what you're going for, but at the same time, it's like a little bit too much. So that was definitely part of it too. That kind of takes this from a movie. Man, I don't know really how to classify this, but that kind of adds to this falling into an awesomely bad movie where, those performances could have been stronger, but because it gave it that feel, that's how it kind of puts it more into that awesomely bad category from those other acting performances.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty hammy and wooden in parts.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of the gang members just become like caricatures.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Winter's one of them. He's
Yeah.
kind of just like ridiculous and hammy in it, but it's one of his super early roles.
Yeah, much different than Bill and Ted.
Yeah, for sure. And even now, like he doesn't really do much acting. He's more of like a behind the scenes kind of guy, directing and production and all that kind of stuff.
Very cool. Yeah, I thought I didn't know for a while there if I missed when he died until they finally showed him dying, like more towards the end.
Yeah.
So I was just like, where did he go? Like I wasn't seeing him, and I was like, did he die somewhere? And I didn't catch it.
Oh man. I guess some of my favorite things. Basically, the whole big battle at the end is the best part.
Oh yeah.
Some of the things that always make me laugh is how terrible of a shot some of those guys are. Because like Bronson's just kind of standing in the middle of an alley and he's not taking cover behind anything, and these guys are just raining bullets around him, completely missing him, and he's taking his time to like line guys up and just blow them away.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that, because I was going to have to mention that at some point too. That was one of the worst parts that stood out about it. Was
it's
how
like did these guys, like these gang members, just become stormtroopers too? Because they're so bad at shooting.
Basically, well, I mean, it happened so many times where even like he's not in cover and the guys he's shooting at aren't in cover, and so it's like he's there shooting at 6 guys, and they're all pretty exposed, and he's just picking them off, and out of 6 guys shooting at him, they can't even hit him once.
Right.
But then also there were several scenes of it, but there was one that really stood out too, where the cops showed up, and the cops are standing in front of their police cars.
No training.
Yeah, just standing and shooting, and I'm like nobody is sitting here watching this and thinking, "Hey guys, this doesn't quite seem realistic."
Oh gosh. Yeah, and I guess that's kind of like some of the charm of canon movies, because it was all about the action. This one is like just
over the top.
Canon, yeah, canon in a nutshell, because this is everything that they aimed for. Um, there's a story. It's really like not focused on at all. It's all over the place. Nothing really matters. But the action scenes are like crazy, and there's lots of explosions, lots of like violence, and like a high body count and all that.
Yeah.
Which I mean makes for an entertaining movie, but for like a quality movie, yeah, it's not the best. Uh, and another thing that really makes me laugh is that they have like this big battle, and Bronson's like this badass with a gun that just lays waste to all these people. Um, and I kind of compare it to Rambo. So like in Rambo, you got like this big jacked up Stallone running around with no shirt on, bandana, long hair, huge like caliber machine gun, just laying waste to guys. And then you got Charles Bronson, who looks like somebody's grandpa wearing a sweater, running around shooting people. he's like he's like in his 60s. He's running around just blowing guys away, and he's wearing like this thick knit sweater.
Nice.
He does have a leather jacket on as well, so he's got some credibility there. But it just, he's got that big thick sweater on under it. Now it just makes me laugh.
Looks like he should be like the captain on a little fishing boat.
Yeah, or he should be like sitting down with his grandson on his lap, telling him stories and giving him a Werther's.
And smoking a pipe.
Yeah. Let me tell you a story about my day. Oh gosh. Well, I'll get into some trivia here because we already kind of touched on like the acting and all that stuff. So the gun that Charles Bronson uses, the wieldy 475 Magnum hand cannon, it was actually a personal handgun of Bronson's in real life. Like he actually owned that gun.
Oh, wow.
And he suggested it as a means to make the film unique. And
that was a pretty good job.
Yeah, in a 2005 interview in American Handgunner magazine with Wieldy Moore, the gun's creator, he said that the sales of the weapon increased each time that the film aired on cable television. And he said, even to this day, there's a spike in the Wieldy Magnum's sales every time Death Wish 3 appears on TV.
Nice.
It's kind of funny. He also mentioned like how high of a body count there is in there. There's a body count of 83 deaths in this.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, so basically Paul Kersey, through the whole Death Wish series, probably has a higher kill count than Jason Voorhees.
Oh yeah. Well, I would kind of hope that he would, because he's using weapons and has a little bit advantage. He's not out in the middle of nowhere at a camp with like just a dozen people.
Yeah.
Except for Jason did go into New York City and only killed like 2 people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can say Bronson spent more time in New York than Jason did.
Oh, yeah.
So Charles Bronson was 64 years old when he did this movie.
Man.
As an action star. And he was paid $1.5 million for the role.
Wow, in 1985?
Yeah, and the budget was only $9 million.
Wow.
And it made $16 million in the box office, so it was profitable.
Yeah.
I mentioned too a little earlier that the odd numbered Death Wish movies take place in New York, and the even ones take place in Los Angeles, which is kind of funny. And the last thing I got, did you notice the music in this movie?
Yes, I did.
It's really interesting. It's not bad. It's definitely a product of the 80s, and it's like super synth heavy. Do you know who did the music for this movie? It was Jimmy Page, the guitarist from Led Zeppelin.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Did he do you know if he did other movie soundtracks?
I'm not sure. I could check it out. I'm sure he probably did, because the music's not bad. It's kind of corny.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad, and obviously legendary musician, legendary guitarist. I mean, he wrote and performed the solo to Stairway to Heaven, which is like one of the greatest guitar solos of all time.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that was bad, but it definitely. Like, did you say it was a little corny?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's fair. Like, it was good, but it definitely was very unique to the movie, and it did stand out. So, yeah, definitely very 80s. But
Yeah, I guess Jimmy Page did the soundtrack for Death Wish 2 as well. One one of like the music stings from this movie that always stands out to me is that a lot of times when they show something serious, there's that boom,
Yep.
which is something that I noticed one of the first times I watched the movie with my dad. But this is what I've watched quite a bit. My dad always told me about these movies, and anytime they were on TV, we'd watch some of them. But he went to a garage sale one time, and somebody had like every single one of them on VHS for like $1 a piece. So he bought them, and I think we watched all of them in like a week and a half, something like that.
Nice.
But yeah, Death Wish 3 was by far my favorite of the bunch.
Yeah.
So I guess we can get into grades because that's really all I had for trivia and facts.
All right.
Like always, I pulled from IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Did you happen to see the IMDb score for this? Because I know sometimes it gets ruined for you.
I think I actually did. I think when I watched it, it actually, man, what did I watch it on? Was it
Prime, probably?
Yeah. I think it had the score on Prime.
Oh, yeah, they do have that on Prime.
Stupid. Hate it. So I think I know what it is. Is it 5.9?
Yep. You
Okay,
got it.
So I was right.
Yeah, 5.9.
So,
Which I
not
find
bad.
out a lot of my movies are usually in that a lot of my favorite movies are in that 5 to 7 range. Just because most of those are just entertaining that aren't great movies but have a cult following.
Yeah.
So I also pulled from Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think those are? There's a critic and an audience score for that.
Oh man, this is gonna be tough. Critic, let's do 47.
Oof, it's 11.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, what do you think the audience is? It's higher, I'll say that for sure.
Higher than my guess, or just higher than the critic?
Both.
Okay. I don't think it's gonna be a lot. I'll say 54.
Dude, you got it exactly.
Oh my gosh! Wow, look at that.
That doesn't happen too often.
No, that's like twice, I think, now in the history of the show.
Yeah, and it's like twice in the last
couple weeks.
4 movie reviews we've done. I don't remember what the last one was.
Yeah.
So it comes out of our grade. What do you give this movie out of 5?
Man, this is tough.
I was saying, because you're the newcomer to it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I know I will watch it again, maybe a couple times and everything. And I really think that we need to, at some point, go through and get a list of all the movies reviewed and put our scores.
Yeah.
Just so that we can kind of reference that. I think that might be an upcoming project here for us too. But awesomely bad movie review. Definitely not a movie for everybody. Definitely not the strongest movie that people would want to watch. I think a lot of people could watch it one time and have a good time with it. I don't know that a lot of people would kind of go back to it. So I think I'm gonna go with 3 out of 5 rock.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I definitely knew that it should be at least a 2.5 because going below 50% is really getting kind of rough and everything. But I didn't think it quite had enough to put it up to 3.5 for me. So I think 3 out of 5 is a solid score.
Rock. Yeah, I had to think a little while on what I was going to grade this. It's a movie I've watched quite a few times, and I have memories of watching it, um, like the first time with my dad, and even now, like we'll still talk about it, everyone or reference it or something like that, or say lines from it. Um, even like the series as a whole, we laughed before about how any woman who becomes close, whether it's a romantic relationship or just a friendship with Paul Kersey, ends up dying. Usually in a terrible way, and like a lot of times they get raped as well. Pretty mean-spirited movies, but it's just they made the same movie like over and over and over, and it comes back to the classic Joe Bob Briggs quote about the Friday 13th series. Like the guys making the Friday 13th movies made this like remade the same movie 9 times, and that takes talent.
Yep.
It's the same with the Death Wish movies. But at the same time, I realize it's not a great movie. Uh, it's definitely entertaining and something, if you like it the first time, it's definitely something you're probably gonna watch again. Uh, it's something I would recommend to people who are fans of '80s action. Just even with the final like gang war going on, that was pretty entertaining, and it's fast paced and exciting, and you'll get to see a big wide variety of firearms and all that kind of stuff and some ridiculous things. But yeah, like the normal everyday person, I wouldn't tell them to watch this.
Yeah.
Um, Not the strongest movie in the series. That's the first one, but I think it's the most entertaining. So for me, I give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's not like I said, it's not one that I watch a lot, but it's definitely one I've watched a few times. I can say that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want to watch a Death Wish movie, this is the one I watch.
Yeah. And I feel like from what you've described and everything, that seems like a pretty good one.
Yeah. Any like parting thoughts on it?
No, it was good. It was fun getting back into the awesomely bad movies. We definitely do need to keep them being a reoccurring thing. So
Yeah, that's kind of how we started off with, because it was like one of the first movies we did, Deadly Prey
yeah.
or Miami Connection. It was one of the two.
We had like a streak of them there at the beginning.
Oh yeah, Rambo and
Yeah.
Rambo was probably the worst of the awesomely bads that we did.
Yeah, that was for sure one of the roughest ones. So
Yeah, we'll have to find some more and throw those in. Um, yeah, I guess next time we will be doing a topic episode where we talk about our favorite actors. We've discussed it in the past. There's going to be some obvious ones on there. You guys know that we love Tom Hanks. And obviously we like Keanu Reeves since we did an entire month of it, but it'd be interesting to hear some of the ones you got. Like we never really discussed it all too much. We both we both know that we both like Van Damme and Arnold and Chuck Norris and all that, but it'd be interesting to see some of the other actors that are maybe outside of the action genre.
great. Now I have nobody to talk about.
Oh gosh, well I know Tom Cruise is on your list.
Oh
So
gosh. No.
I think it's funny we did an episode on actors that we don't care for, but we never did one of our favorite actors.
I know that is pretty funny. It's interesting because like we've had these unique topics, but then like some of the most common ones that you bring up just in casual conversations we haven't touched on, like this for instance.
Yeah, and when we do the episodes, we go in blind on them too, so it's always kind of fun.
Yeah.
But until then, be kind, rewind.